Hello, in this video we look at Mangala Sutta, verse 10, Sutta Nipata 2.4, verse 266. Kanti chaso vachasata samananam chadasanam kalena dhamma sakaccha etam mangalam uttamam. And I'll do it again with the text up. Here we are. Kanti chaso vachasata samananam chadasanam kalena dhamma sakaccha etam mangalam uttamam. By the way, a note on the anuswara, dasanam uttamam. You will hear, for example, often hear ties pronounced that final anuswara at the end of a line as an ang sound. And you will find, for example, people chanting in Pali, but who are specifically chanting in a style or tradition of chanting learnt from ties. They will also pronounce it as samananam chadasanam, and in the end etang mangalam uttamam. But the Ganges Valley, the North Indian pronunciation, which would follow Sanskrit and Vedic, the final M, which can be written as an anuswara, but it's pronounced in the Ganges Valley as a final M. In fact, in most of India, the final M is so pronounced, very much exactly like the English M. So, kanticha suvachasata. Kanti. It's from the root ksham. It's often translated ksham, and in Sanskrit it makes kshanti, and in Pali it's verbal noun kanti. Kshanti in Sanskrit, kanti in Pali. It's often translated as patience, and yeah, patience does capture part of the meaning, but it's more specific than general patience. It's more in the sense of forbearance at what is being done to you, letting things go. Tolerance of what is being done to you is the more focused meaning of this word. Here it's got a long E at the end, kanticha. In normal prose this would have been kanticha. In Sanskrit it always has to be short. Here, as we so often see in Pali verse, the final vowel has been lengthened for the sake of the meter, has no grammatical effect, no impact at all on the meaning. It's just lengthened for the sake of the meter in poetry. So kanticha suvachasata. Suvachasata. It's from the root vach, meaning to talk, to speak. One's cognate with the Latin vox, from which we have the English vocal, and of course our word voice via the French la voix. And the suvachasata is an abstract noun, the quality of being suvacho or suvacha in its stem form. So suvacha. We have it in the first line of the Karaniya Metta Sutta, suvacho chassa mudu anatimani, let one be suvacho. Now vacha then means speech, with a su in front of it. It's sometimes rendered and interpreted as, speaking nicely, of beautiful speech. But it can have an alternative meaning, which is the one I prefer. I think it has more of a moral sense of being easy to talk to, in the sense that if somebody admonishes them, points out if they're doing something wrong, warning them about it, that kind of talking to. So it's the moral quality being suvacho. So su means not only good, but also means something easy. So suvacho, easy to talk to, means that you will, if a senior person says, hey, you shouldn't be doing that, do it differently, he'll readily and willingly accept being told about it. So I say, readily amenable to advice, welcoming admonition, welcoming correction. That's more the meaning of suvacha. So you can make an abstract noun out of it. In Sanskrit, it would be sauvachasya. And in Pali, sauvachasa, the quality of being easy to talk to. You see here in the text, it's added a ta, which is the cognate with the Latin itas, iti, infinity, gravity. To making an abstract noun of it. But that's pleonastic here. It's entirely unnecessary, and I would go as far as to say even ungrammatical, because sauvachasa on its own is an abstract noun. So the adjective is in Sanskrit suvachas, abstract noun sauvachasya. In Pali, suvacha, the adjective, and the abstract noun sauvachasa. And then to make it a double abstract noun, sauvachasata, is, as I say, it's a superfluous additional ending. You can have suvachata or sauvachasa, but sauvachasata is, as I say, doing two things to make an adjective into an abstract noun. So samananancha dasanam. Dasana, we've heard before, just means seeing, from the root drish. Same root drish from which we get Sanskrit drishti, seeing, and therefore an opinion or a view, a way of seeing things. That's the one that in Pali is dritti. And equally from drish we get in Sanskrit darshana, which in Pali is dasana. So samananancha dasanam. The seeing of the samanas, of the ascetics or monks, and here is used in the sense of being in their company, not just catching sight of them, but actually deliberately being there with them, seeing, hearing them, being in their company, and it's in the genitive plural, the seeing of the samanas. Samananam chadasanam. If you look at the spelling of samananan, it's written with the nya sound. This could equally correctly have been written with anuswara, the subdotted m, but with several words, in particular short enclitics such as pi, ti, cha. Here we have cha. It's so closely connected, it's almost treated as an integral part of the word, and so the nasal, which would be pronounced the same, whether you wrote it with a subdotted m or with the tilde n, the pronunciation is the same, samananancha. But it's just written like that because it's perceived to be so in such close conjunction that it's virtually, well, it is effectively written as part of the same word. Samananancha dasanam kalena dhammasakacha. Kalena, I think we had that in the previous verse. That's right, in the previous verse, verse 9. Kalena dhammasavanam. Hearing the Dhamma at an appropriate time, at the right time. Here, exactly the same. Kalena, at the right time. I've written this with a capital K. Kalena dhammasakacha. Apologies, in a previous version I wrote here sakacha as witnessing, whereas in fact I've corrected here, it's discussion. think I carelessly misread it for Satchikiriya or something, which would mean witnessing or realization. Sakacha, it's from the kat, class 10, katayati, Pali kateti, to converse or to relate, and to sankateti, to converse together, and that would make, in Sanskrit, that's not attested in Sanskrit, that would make sankatya, just conversing about it. And in Pali, normally you'd expect to see sankacha, but occasionally the prefix sam, instead of keeping itself as a sam or a sang, becomes sa. So this sakacha. So remember, sakacha would be the same as sankatya, just conversing together. And here the compound noun dhamma sakacha, dhamma conversation, just talking with others about the dhamma. Etam mangalam uttamam. So I'll read this once more. Kanti chaso vachasata samananan chatasanam kalena dhamma sakacha etam mangalam uttamam. And once more very slowly. Kanti cha suvachasata samananan chadasanam kalena dhamma sakacha etam mangalam uttamam. And that's it on this video.